Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon Wone, Pickups.
Hey, this is me, Todd Novak. We are super thrilled to be doing another show. It's like when a really old person wakes up and goes, "I'm just happy to be alive." It's kind of like that's what, I feel like every show is a gift, and I appreciate this gift that we have right now with everybody who's listening.
That's right.
I am super excited about this episode because I have been drooling all over these particular guitars for quite some time. Who do we have on the line right now?
Who is this?
See?
Who's this? Well, you know what? You prepped me for this, and
every time.
And every time, it's still, I was like, they want me to talk now.
90
this
for 90.
Gosh darn it. Gosh darn it. This is Matthew Timmons, GM of Novo Guitars. What's up, guys?
Hey. Novo Guitars, that is correctamundo.
Yes.
Hopefully you guys are all very familiar with the beauties that grace the Instagram. These are really, really outstanding guitars, and I'm just really excited. Now that we got all the excitement and stuff out of the way, we just want to give a real quick shout out to Rode Microphones for supplying our audio equipment, our microphones. They've been very good to us, and we're hoping to get them on the show, actually.
And then not to mention the lovely articulating arms.
All of the things that go along with this, yes. That's what Jared is most excited about, oddly enough. I'm not really sure.
Well,
I really thought you were going to be
to
most excited about the pop screens.
No, you don't have to turn any knobs to tighten or loosen anything to move the arms around. You just move them around,
Right.
and that's it.
That's the point of good equipment.
This is very exciting.
Yep. So anyways, thank you, Rode Microphones, for supplying that.
Yeah.
And I think we're just going to get on with the thing here.
Let's do it.
Do you guys have any other business that you want to mention?
Well, what's this podcast about?
Well, why don't you tell everybody?
Well, basically, we showcase the smaller builder, and we learn about how they got into doing what they're doing.
Yes, the boutique builders of the world.
That's right. And then once in a while, we have a bigger business on.
A biggie.
Yeah.
A whale.
There's nothing wrong with that. We like to mix it up.
They had to start somewhere.
That's right.
We're not going to discriminate.
No.
We're not about that. It's really hot in our studio right now. I'm just saying. And we had a tornado warning, which was kind of weird. What is going on in our music world this week? Jared.
Well, recently I was down at the Dallas Guitar Show, and I just want to touch on that a little bit. I got to meet Mr. Keeley of Keeley Pedals, and also I ran into Seymour Duncan again, and he notably recognized me from the first time I met him in California, and that just literally, it almost made me cry. And that really made my day.
You are a giant amongst men. So you're hard to forget.
It's hard to not see you.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's true. I do not look like the average guy walking around. But anyways, I had a really good time. There was a lot of different type of guitars, cheap guitars, really old, expensive guitars. I've never seen so many bursts in my life, as in 1959 original, expensive bursts.
Original-ish.
Yeah, who knows?
Possibly original.
Exactly. But anyway, it was a great time. So,
did you see any other celebrities?
Yeah, I saw some celebrities there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Derek St. Holmes.
Yeah.
Eric Johnson.
Okay, Eric Johnson.
He was walking around. I talked to Derek. I didn't talk to Eric Johnson. And that was about it.
Oh, there had to be more than
maybe
that.
more, but
maybe they were incognito.
Maybe.
Or they had their people go into the show.
You see kids playing on Instagram and Facebook a lot, and they're really, really good and whatever. Those kids were there. Like all those little kids that you see jamming on the guitar that get a lot of attention on social medias, they were there.
Yeah.
So,
were any of the cats on the piano there?
Nope.
No cats on pianos.
No.
That's a shame.
No.
Well, it would be the piano fest then, I guess.
Right. Anyway, it was a very, very successful, fun trip.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, nice. Tony.
All right. Well, this week, as I sit here looking at this beautiful autographed case from Brandon Wound Pickups, Jared actually signed the case.
Yeah.
I have been putting together a project. We've, I guess, all been on kind of a Jazzmaster, Telemaster journey, and I put together my version of a Ventures Jazzmaster. Fender Japan put out a Ventures Jazzmaster in the mid-90s, probably 95, 96. And the big difference is they got rid of the upper controls, and the top edge of the guard is almost more like a Strat. Mm-hmm. So they simplified the controls. They made a couple of other changes. It had a bound neck with block inlays. So I've got all the parts together. And one of the things that I thought I would do this time, which may or may not be the best thing that I've ever done, is there was a small batch of late 60s Jazzmasters that had the Grover, full-size Grover machines that had like the old Perloid, I guess they call them banjo buttons. Originally, those were used on like the Coronados and a couple of the Montego and a couple of other oddball guitars that Fender put out in the late 60s. But apparently,
you're talking about like mid 70s American cars.
Mid 70s American cars?
Yeah, the Coronados and
there was no Coronado. That was a
just
Coronado. Jeez, oh man. I tell you.
Chrysler Coronado.
Cordoba with rich Corinthian leather.
Cordoba.
Anyways, sorry.
Anyhow, we'll save that for the car podcast.
Yes.
But anyhow, so I actually, I mean, there are days I wonder what I'm thinking, but so I contacted Grover because no one has 6 inline Grover full-size tuning machines with these particular buttons. So I contacted them and they said, no, it won't fit. We don't sell them. So what I ended up having to do was to buy 2 sets of 3x3 tuners. And now, so I've got a full left-hand set of 6 inlines.
Oh, weird.
Everything fits, but it's a very tight fit.
Yeah.
I even sent the guy from Grover a photo of the machines that they made for Fender.
Man. Oh, no, that wouldn't help. I was just thinking about Florian Millimetric. He's got his own tuners with the knurled ends that don't have a big profile on them. You could have ran 6 of those.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a different look, obviously.
Yeah, so if anybody has a Firebird project that has machines on the treble side, I've got 6 machines for you.
There you go. Perfect.
So, but anyhow, and then of course everything is gold hardware, so that always complicates everything.
Right.
But anyhow, I will have finished product up and posted to the website now that the Brandon Wound wide range humbuckers in a Jazzmaster cover.
That's right.
Are here. These are going to be cool pickups.
Awesome. Let's see here. Matthew.
Yeah.
What's going on in your music world, buddy?
Well, let's see. Besides making fabulous guitars all day, last week, I got to meet Mr. David Byrne.
Oh, wow.
Sweet.
Yeah, that was like my first big, we moved to Nashville. We'll get into all that exciting stuff, I'm sure. But I went to the Ryman where David Byrne was touring, and his guitar player on this tour is playing one of our Novos. And I got to hang out backstage, and I had no illusions that David would show up, right? We just got sat down. We were waiting for the band to come back. And I don't know if you guys have seen what he's doing on this tour, but there's about 15 musicians on stage. And they're all wearing wireless. It's an incredible show if you get a chance to go. So we're all sitting there. There's probably about 15 people waiting for the band to come back. And we turn around. The first person through the door is David Byrne himself.
That's amazing.
And he's bringing 2 bottles of wine. And he's like, hi, everybody. And we were all sitting there in silence because we had no idea. No one thought they were going to meet him. And he comes back, he's got his Hawaiian shirt on, and he starts pouring wine, and then we got to go up and say hi. And it was I was just stunned. I don't know what to say. I just asked him, I said, great show. And he's like, and Angie Swan, that's the guitar player, she introduced us and said, oh yeah, these guys make my guitar. And he said he thought it sounded really good, and asked if we had checked out the Kemper because that's what they're using on everything is Kemper profiles for everything. And then he kind of just wandered off into the night, and it was amazing. So it's like I didn't have any great questions for him or anything. It was just one of those like moments that you don't really prepare for. You're just like, even though I'm going backstage at his show, I'm like, he's still not going to show up, right? He's going to go do something else. So it was a pleasure, and I'm still kind of stunned that it happened. It was awesome.
That's very cool.
And just for clarification, for anybody that doesn't know, David Byrne, the lead of Talking Heads previously, kind of a big deal in the music community. And that's one performer I would really love to see. And I have not had the opportunity to. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It was once in a lifetime moment,
man. So I was, I'm crafting. We're getting close to going into full. Hang on, I gotta sneeze.
There it is.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
All right, Matthew, give us your 4 on the floor.
All right, 4 on the floor. Here we go. Number 1, bury me with it pedal for me. The Earthquaker Dispatch Master. My all-time favorite, mostly because I'm a horrible player, at least in my head. And you put this little baby on there and you just get a little extra of everything. I like to set it up mostly for like a little slapback delay with a little bit of reverb on it. So it's kind of echoey and fun. And it just kind of fattens everything up a lot. I just, since I've gotten that thing, I think I've improved as a player quite a bit, just because it just gives me a lot more space to work with. And I just, love the goddamn thing. It's perfect.
Cool.
Number 2, Earthquaker, again, speaker cranker. It's almost for the same reason. Like, I kind of wanted to set up something that I could use in sort of any kind of situation, and those 2 pedals kind of do it. Speaker cranker just gives you a little bit more of whatever you're plugged into. If you got a clean amp, it gives you a little bit of hair. If you're in a dirty amp, it just gives you a little bit more push. One knob, and it's a really transparent, but does a little bit more than just being transparent. It's not like just a boost. It has a little bit of personality to it, and it sounds awesome cranked up all the way. So sometimes that's what I'll do too. So those 2 are kind of my all-time, just, I'll put them on every board that I ever do. I kind of stuck with speaker cranker just as like a whim purchase. It was like I was buying a bunch of stuff at the time, and I was like, it's like $95. I'm just going to go for it. I like Earthquaker, and, for me, it's pretty invaluable because I'm one of those people that's never happy with his overdrive ever, and so it's just I always need it to kind of go. It's like a safe haven for me. If I have it, I feel like I can kind of figure out any situation that I'm in. So
nice.
Yeah, man. Number 3, kind of along those same lines, the JHS Superbolt. This one for me is that I've always really struggled with getting the right fuzz pedal. In concept, I want fuzz pedals really badly. I listen to a lot of music that has fuzz, and I've never gotten one that I've absolutely loved that was perfect. This isn't a fuzz pedal, but it kind of gets a little bit in that territory, so you can kind of use it either way. It's based on old Supro amps. I went through a really strong telly phase, and so I got this around the same time, and it's basically can do Led Zeppelin 1 if you put those 2 things together, and I like that a lot. I liked, it was when I was learning how to play. I'm an old metalhead, and so one day I was like, I really need to learn how to actually play the guitar, and not just play metal. And so this was kind of my gateway. It was like to kind of come down off of all that sort of distortion, but still like feel comfortable with my meaty riffs. And so it was the Superbolt was kind of the way to do that. And it's kind of the same thing. I always kind of default with a clean amp, because I've never been really happy trying to figure out what my overdrive is going to be. So having the speaker cranker in that, like, again, sort of make me feel comfortable whatever I'm playing through.
Yeah.
And then
on that note,
go ahead.
Have you ever, since you were talking about JHS and fuzz, and never really being happy with one, have you ever explored the Muffaletta?
I have not. It's always been on the list. I'm one of those people that like I don't like. I'm like I don't like to buy things that much because if I feel like it's sort of a gateway, like if I start buying stuff, I'll buy a lot of stuff. So I have very distinct periods in my life where I bought a lot of gear and then I stop, and then I buy a lot of gear and I stop. So it's been a while since I actually bought my first pedal that I bought in like a long time recently.
Wow.
And so, there's a ton of them on the list that I want to try, but I tend to get very comfortable with what I have. And then, when it's time for me to get something new, it's a torturous process for me. I'm like legendary for like loving gear and wanting a ton of gear and buying nothing. That's kind of my thing. So, yeah, it's a weird thing, but it's how I am. And then,
just real quick on that note, since we were just talking about speaker cranker and overdrive and getting the fuzz, I might just throw it out there. I don't typically do this during 4 on the Floor, but I am not in a dissimilar position as you, which is two double negatives, which makes it a positive. And something that solved that for me was the Champion Lecky, what's it called? The Fettle Boost. You should check that thing out, man. I'm just saying.
I'm putting it down on the list.
Oh, and it's hand painted too, so it's like, yeah,
nice.
And it has underpants on it.
It's got underpants on it.
Yeah,
which I'm in right now, so that works.
Okay, so anyway,
that's 3.
Yeah, 4.
Last one would be the Teese Real McCoy Wizard Wah.
Whoa!
It's so this guy I got
RMC. So this
RMC,
is the one,
man.
If you're looking out there on Instagram, you keep seeing a pedal that has a big RMC logo on it. These are hot right now. I don't know why, but they are.
So I bought this bad boy, I think in 2003 or 2004 from True Tone Music in Santa Monica, and I don't know why I remember that so well, but I do. And I've been looking forever. Like I really wanted a wah, was looking for something that could work with heavy music, fuzz, all that stuff. I was never a big crybaby, classic kind of, 70s soundtrack wah fan. This has a really, really wide sweep to it. It was like kind of one of the first ones that I ever encountered that had that. So it can get real expressive and, real interesting with it. It's not just kind of one mode.
Right.
So I really like it because it sounds awesome, cocked all the way like you want out of a wah sometimes, but kind of like you can really use that sweep and kind of put it anywhere in there and get a really interesting tone because it's got such a wide sweep that you can kind of do a lot of different stuff with it. So I've always, been a really big fan of the wah for not just kind of the classic use for it, but just getting all of those different sort of like tones out of it in the middle. And this one, it's been the longest pedal that I've owned.
That's cool.
Continuously since 2003. So
wow.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
it's a great one. I don't see it as often, but it's awesome.
You never really know what drives certain things.
Yes.
And right now, I just feel like I'm seeing that constantly on Instagram. That's all I see. So
and the Wizard one came in like a red powder coat, so it's like really stands out. It's a cool pedal. Yeah.
Well, that's a solid little lineup. I like it. Very
Thanks,
cool.
Man.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
So we are now going to enter the phase of our podcast in which we interview said guest about what they're actually making. And you are the general manager.
Yes.
For Novo guitars. Everybody who is not currently driving has access to a computer or a phone. Get to Novo guitars immediately. Stat, toot sweet. And check out what we're talking about here. So, Matthew, really quickly, let's start with sort of an overview of Novo and some of the back history.
Yeah, so I'm the general manager for Novo Guitars. Novo Guitars is a company owned and operated and designed by Dennis Fano. A lot of people might know Dennis from his previous company, Fano Guitars. He started up Novo Guitars in October of 2015. I came on in July of 2016, and it's a pretty simple operation. We make awesome electric guitars in Nashville, Tennessee. They're pretty vintage inspired kind of Fender style designs with unique body shapes and unique parts that we do. So we don't do any sort of copies. It's all our own stuff. And we've got kind of a template that we use, one body style, and we do a tons of variety as far as pickups, bridges, different options. So we were pretty much a custom shop when we started, and we're starting to sort of narrow down the models that people like. We do a Ceres line where we do a T, a J, and an S, and they're exactly kind of what they sound like, a Tele style, a sort of Jazzmaster style, and a Strat style guitar. But we do so much more than that as far as kind of combining all those different things to make some really unique instruments and unique finishes, pickguard combinations, and it's a blast every day because we're doing about 20, 25 guitars a month right now. So we're a pretty small operation. We just hired I think our 10th guy, so we're ready to kind of really ramp things up over the next a year or so, and it's been a wild ride so far to get to kind of be the first employee with Dennis here at Novo to try to grow and see where we are going to go with all these things and sort of see what the guitars have evolved into from his original concept.
That is a very good description of what you guys do.
Thank you.
The only thing that I would change there,
yeah,
is. And I don't mean change. I just mean I want to make sure that perception. All right.
Yeah, totally.
When you're talking about Fender inspired things, for those who are not familiar, there are loads and loads of guitars out there that are. I mean, inspired is used very loosely.
Yeah, totally. And when I try to describe sort of what they are, what I mean by that is just scale length and bolt on, really. You know what I mean?
Parts. It's you can jalopy it into just about anything you want.
Sure.
With a said number of parts, and I want to make that distinction because this is something that we were talking about before the show. Mm-hmm. Coming up with an original design is so difficult, and to be able to do that successfully and have it look amazing and as versatile as these are, we got to give credit there and make sure that everybody who's listening isn't just picturing a Strat or a Jag or a Tele, because this is not the case.
None of the above. And I will go on the record as saying, I love these guitars.
Yes.
Plain
and simple.
I do too.
I don't say that often. This is the first time I've ever said
we
that.
both said it at the same time.
You hate all the other ones.
Yeah.
But you really like these.
I love these.
Well, thank you guys.
Fantastic.
I appreciate that. I love them too. And it's, I try to describe to people exactly what my job is here. And this is literally the dream job. Like, I've been a fan of Dennis's stuff since I first saw them, and I always was sort of dreaming up what I would do if I could work for the guy. And then when this thing all came together, it's still surreal just sitting here getting to talk to you guys about it. Just how into it I am, and how much I love, and how much he's going to kill me if he heard that I said the F word on this podcast.
We'll get into that in just a little bit. But that's a great setup so that everybody knows exactly what we're getting into. And you're operating out of Nashville, right?
Yes, yeah. Dennis was in Pennsylvania. That's where his home base was, where he was building guitars when he was still at his previous company and when he started up Novo. And then we moved down here a year ago this week.
Wow, so that's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was a little bit confusing for the guitar community when that happened, just because they're like, wait, what? Huh? when Novo came out.
Yeah,
because it just wasn't clear. There wasn't like it wasn't like all over the news, like Gibson or Fender or something, But then we're like, wait, who does? Are these both the same now? What's going on?
It's one of the hard parts about what we've been doing is sort of how do you sort of put yourself out there, especially early on, without sort of drawing attention to the old company, which is still on operation. Dennis wanted to handle it, and he was doing Novo while he was still working with those guys.
Wow.
So it was one of those things to where if you know, trying to kind of figure out how to best to do this, and we've never really formally done anything. We kind of just set up shop and started making guitars and never like put a press release out about what was going on. It was just like, you know, so we did get a lot of confusion when we were starting out, that people were like, so do you have like 3 different brands? Because we've got another one too. That's another story we can get into, but there's like, people were confused on who was making what and what the role was and all that stuff. But that's been a problem for those brands ever since Dennis sold the guitar company back in the day.
Sure.
So I'm like, who was making what with Fano? So
right. Well, and not totally unlike what Fender has done with various companies and ownerships and stuff. But yeah, we'll get into that in a second. You just touched on something that just made me smile, which I was very happy to hear. I love hearing people pour out their heart about what they love doing, whatever passion that is. And so this is clearly yours. How did you stumble into this?
Just the industry, or Dennis, or the whole bit?
Let's start out with how you got into how the guitar bug bit you, and then ultimately how you're sitting in that seat right now. How's that?
Great. Yeah, so the guitar bug bit me pretty early. My father is an incredible guitarist. I grew up on the central coast of California, so San Luis Obispo. It's about halfway between San Francisco and LA. And, you know, I grew up sort of listening to Van Halen and watching Spinal Tap and doing the whole bit with my dad. And he was a, you know, Thursday night, Saturday night guitar player who had gigs every week. And, you know, I was like in the garage with him when he learned how to play Hot for Teacher, right? So it's like, this is something that it's been my whole life. So then later on, when I got a little older, he got a job over at Ernie Ball Music Man, because they are in San Luis Obispo, California. So he started working sales for them, and then he got into artist relations. So early on, I was like hanging out at company picnics with Ernie and Sterling. I got to meet like Albert Lee, Steve Morse, Steve Lukather. So this was just normal for me. And I don't think that I've ever wanted to do anything else. Like, once you get involved in that, it's just like, this is the coolest. And my dad's a super humble dude, and he kind of was always appreciative of sort of getting to be involved in all that kind of stuff and getting to meet these just amazing dudes and amazing players. And so it was always about sort of the excitement of making guitars and being a part of it. And so that was sort of what kind of drew me to it, was just like, I couldn't play a lick. You know, I've gotten better over the years, but, you know, I knew that like I wasn't going to make it, you know, shredding. So it was like, what could I do? And then, so I got a gig working at Ernie Ball Music Man when I was 19. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate it. And I was doing final inspection of instruments and inventory. And I also worked in the wood shop and did sanding. And ever since I did that, it was just, this is all I've wanted to do. So it was really great. So I worked there for about 5 years. And then I moved up to Seattle to try out some new stuff. I worked for Microsoft and Bose for a while, but then I got hooked up over at Lawler Pickups. If you guys are all familiar with the Lawler Pickups.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're all right. Little company.
One or two different types.
Jared, have you heard of Lawler Pickups?
Yeah, you guys have heard of Lawler? Small company.
I actually met Jason.
Little place.
Jason actually gave me a tour. So
Yeah,
of his shop in Tacoma.
Jared makes pickups too, so.
Awesome. So a little company called Lawler. So I got to work there for 3 years, and that's when I started doing, you know, sales, marketing, that kind of stuff is what I did for them. Because I had a sales background now. I did that with Microsoft and Bose. And that's where I heard about Dennis for the first time, is that he was buying Lawlers, and I saw the guitars for the first time that he was building. And I literally, when I first saw them, I said, this is it. This is the guy. This is the aesthetic. This is the energy. This is the vibe. Like, Dennis is the best guitar builder in the world. And I was like, from that moment on, in my head, I was like, I have to figure out how to work for this guy. I got to figure out how to get there sometime. And he was in nowhere, Pennsylvania, and I'm living in Seattle. And I was like, that's not going to happen. right? Because I'm going to concerts and, living in the city and enjoying myself and working for Lawler. And I was like, that's not going to happen. And then the whole thing with Premier Builders Guild was murky as far as like who was making what guitars. And I was always confused by it. I was never really into sort of how they presented everything over there. And so in my head, I was like, this is what I would do if I was running Fano, right? Like I had big boy pants on and I was like, this is what I would do. This is what I would do this. And I'd market this and I'd do this. I always had it in my head that of what kind of stuff I would do, because I just loved just all the stuff that he was doing. And then when I got wind that he might be on his way out and he was doing like starting up the Novo thing, I literally like wrote a list of all the companies that I might want to work for, and he was number one. And I had heard about it. I was like, still like Pennsylvania, I can't do Pennsylvania. I would write to him about the guitars occasionally, but Pennsylvania, I don't know. And then I heard through the grapevine, which again, here comes my father. He had gotten, Dennis was sort of talking through some back channels about needing a general manager. And he was talking to some of his dealers, early dealers for Novo, needing somebody. And one of the dealers is friends with my dad. So he said, hey, Greg, that's my dad, Greg Timmons. He said, hey, Greg, Dennis is looking for a general manager. Maybe you'd be interested. And he's like, I'm not interested, but I know somebody who is. So he just sent me a message, said, you have to call Dennis right now. And so I called him and he told me his plan for Nashville. And about 10 minutes into a conversation, we realized we had the same exact vision for what we would do. And it was the done deal right then and there. Man,
that's exciting. That's so cool. I love that.
It's stupid. Even telling the story, I'm like, it's wild that it happened. So we talked in March of 2016, and I was out in Pennsylvania in July, and then we moved to Nashville in May. So it's just like that. It's crazy.
Man. And you guys have just been gangbusting ever since.
Yeah, we came down with 3 employees, and like I said, we're up to 10 now. We're being very cautious as far as how we're doing things, as far as ramping up. We're kind of getting a nice infrastructure going on down here, building out all the different departments, doing machines. We had a little bit of help doing some contract work for our finishing while we got the spray booth up and running. Just little things here and there to try to kind of keep afloat while we're trying to figure things out. But we're, a year in, and we're kind of ready to burst. We're, like I said, we're at 20, 25 guitars a month, and we're primed to push that to 60, 70, hopefully by the end of the year.
That's
per
awesome.
month.
Wow.
That's really fantastic.
Yeah.
And they're not like redunculous prices. Like these are definitely within reach if you are buying a brand new, very well made guitar.
Serious.
Customized.
Yeah.
That's a serious guitar.
A Ceres guitar,
Ceres.
Yeah, and we did that on purpose. Dennis priced the guitars that way when he was making them by himself. And one of the reasons he did that was so when we did ramp up production, it wasn't a situation where, oh, great, now we're charging $4,500 for a handmade guitar, and now we're doing production work, and how are we going to move that many instruments when it's still very custom, and there's a lot of handmade, there's still only 10 of us, right? It's not big, but how do you do that? And we think the price point is really competitive for that. And then, so we have room to go, when, depending on how things go for us. So
yeah, you can go down and go up if you need to, I imagine.
Yeah, we can do a budget or a student model, or we can blow it out and do, set neck carve tops. We have a lot of room to go either way, which is very cool. And we will. We definitely will.
Tell me about the name. Is that derived from something at all?
It's Latin for new.
Okay.
That's simple. Dennis liked the way that it was kind of 4 letters like Fano, and then also the N, kind of at a distance looks like an F. So,
Oh yeah.
It's he wanted to do something that was, a nice echo of what he did before. So I suggested he change his last name to Novo, but he doesn't seem to be super into that just yet.
Right.
But I'm working on that one. That's like the last step, is to get him to do that.
No lawsuits from Aldo Novo yet?
No, thank goodness. No, not yet. A couple restaurants named Novo haven't hit us up yet, but no, we're doing well. We're doing pretty good. So
that's awesome. Now, as a general manager, what does Yeah, tell us all about that.
Yeah, so what I do essentially is I'm in charge of everything. You know, what Dennis wants to do as the designer is to design the guitars, sort of work with our production manager and our team on sort of making sure that the quality is high. Dennis still does all the inspections of the parts. He'll still do the play test for every guitar. He still does a lot of the distressing, because that's still his baby, is distressing the guitars. We got a guy that's like sort of apprenticing under him right now. So that kind of leaves everything else to me. I do the boring stuff like the interviewing, hiring. I do all sales, all marketing, all the social media. I still do all the scheduling. I even package the guitar still myself because I can't get over it. Like, I still like to be the last one that touches the guitar before it ships out.
It's a good feeling.
It's really exciting and fun, and especially the amount of people that sort of have them on order or buy a guitar before we ship it. So I'll know who it's going to, and it's a really fun thing. So, I kind of just, I'm essentially Dennis's right-hand man. He gives me a lot of freedom to sort of give him input as far as design stuff, colors, new models. Like, we're kind of just, doing this together. He lets me do all the stuff that he doesn't want to do, like stuff like this, like go on to podcasts and talk it up, because he hates talking about himself. He hates talking about how great the guitars are. It's not his bag. He's super humble and just a wonderful guy to work for. So I'll come on here and tell you how awesome the guitars are. That's my job to do that.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I was just showing Tony. So one of my personal things right now is I'm doing a series of black guitars with gold sparkle pick guards. I saw the Cirrus T gold sparkle with a black pick guard, and I'm like, oh my god,
that one!
Oh man,
that one was
amazing.
That guitar was really fun too, because that was one that was spec'd out by a customer himself. He has a couple different Novos, and he had an idea for one, and we had not done one with a single pickup yet.
Yeah.
So that one was, Dennis did a complete custom pick guard just for that one.
Yeah.
And that was really fun to do.
Tail too, which is cool.
Yeah, that Schroeder is my favorite bridge that we use.
Yeah.
I have it on my personal Novo, and I love the wrap tail. It's got the adjustable saddles on it, and it's just a huge, just beefy piece of machinery that's just really feels really comfortable. So on most of the stop tails that we do, that's what we use.
That's cool. I dig it.
Yeah, that was a guitar like that like we knew would be cool, and when it came together, and it's got the beefy toggle to split the bridge.
Yeah,
that one is. Yeah, if you get a chance to look that one up, man.
I just had it on my phone. I was sitting.
That's a cool one.
It hurts my face to look at it.
Yeah, all the listeners out there, go find that one. Check it out. It's cool.
So on the finishes, I noticed a lot of them, especially even on Fano guitars, there seem to be a lot more kind of relict or aged finishes. Mm-hmm. Is that something that it looks like you're kind of carrying it over into the Novo side too? Or
yes, definitely.
Okay, because there's just really cool stuff, and the metal control plate. Is that something you guys make in house, or is
we'd have that made for us by Advanced Plating?
Oh, okay.
Which are here in Nashville.
Oh yeah,
and great dudes.
Yeah.
So we'll do a little work like that ourselves when we need something custom, but we have them do it, and they do a fantastic job.
Jeremy and Fred.
Yep, they're good folks. I buy stuff from Jared. Buys a ton of stuff for his pickups.
I don't buy anything from them, and I don't know these fellas or fellas.
Jared bought enough this year to get actual blue pint glasses at Christmas time.
That's right.
I don't buy enough, so I didn't get any.
Yeah.
I don't think we've gotten any. I guess we need to make more guitars.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I also had a question about the finished. Are there
totally.
some models that you use grain filler and then you don't use grain filler?
We use no grain filler whatsoever.
That's what I thought. I was looking at these pictures. I'm like, now is there something to do with the tone, or it's just an appearance thing, or
it's a little bit of all of it. We use and just to clarify, we did make some early guitars, the Sectus model, which is a little more traditional finish, and we did some grain fill on that. But for the most part, we've kind of gotten away from that completely. We use tempered wood, tempered pine and tempered swamp ash for the majority of our guitars. And once we kind of get that stuff come in, it just has a nice kind of like look to it. So the idea is that we want to sand the guitar to bring out sort of all the nice detail of it, because we just really like that earthy kind of, resonant vibe that you get by seeing the wood under the finish. So it comes a functional thing. We want to not have a lot of finish on there so the guitar can resonate. And we just like the way it looks, because no matter what the finish is, it just reminds you that it's a piece of wood.
Exactly.
So it's both. We just looks cool. It gives you that extra texture, and we definitely think it helps with the tone too. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I think you have an aesthetic that, since we're talking about the grain and the paint and all that stuff, I was trying to describe this to a friend who hadn't heard of Novo while we were driving, so we weren't looking at the phones and stuff. And I was trying to explain that it reminded me like when you fillet a fish, and you can kind of see the musculature down the line. And to add to that, so if there's one in particular that does this to a T on the Instagram account, and it's the ocean turquoise on the Cirrus J, where you can see a sunburst and what appears to be, I think, like a primer underneath it, or there's yellow, there's burst, and there's turquoise, which sounds like a mess if you're just listening to it, but you look at it and you say, holy moly, that's beautiful. But it reminds me of fish. It kind of looks like
it's like scales almost.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And I thought, well, that's an kind of a unique finish. And then that kind of carries through that grain, but it's not like barnyard grain or anything like that. I haven't really seen anybody else do it quite like you guys are doing it. Am I right in saying that?
I think so. I mean, we try to be as unique as possible. One of the things that Dennis is really great at is sort of taking the wood and sort of getting a vision of what it could look like. And we've gotten a lot of different tempered pine in, like a different species, different sources over the last 2 years. And every time we kind of get new stuff, it kind of morphs into sort of a new way of sanding it, a new way of finishing it. And then definitely when he's distressing the guitar, a new way of sort of bringing out whatever the wood can give him. And he's done a lot of really cool things just based on, it's like almost just working with the wood, giving it sort of finding kind of an inspiration in what he's working with and coming up with something. And definitely the way that the pine goes, it gets that like nice kind of wavy ridges to it. And what you can do is you can get the finish in there, and then he can kind of bring it out and then kind of leave it and bring it out and leave it. And then it's almost like blinds too. Like it's like and it's just, would a guitar actually age that way if you kind of wore it off with a forearm? Maybe not, but it looks really cool. And it looks natural enough because we do the distressing on the rest of the parts, like down to every single screw. So it's a neat thing to kind of not have to go, okay, what does a 70-year-old guitar look like? Because these guitars didn't exist 70 years ago. You're going to play them differently. There's a new body shape. Right. So we can do whatever we want as long as if you look at it, you buy into it. Right. And so, I mean, that's just Dennis's creativity there of just always just, his brain just works differently, and he just sees this stuff. And, we've got a new guy, Zach, who's working with us. That
everybody's got a guy named Zach.
Is that how it works? Everybody's got a guy. We got a guy.
Got a Zach.
I got a Zach that works for me.
Awesome. Zachs are good dudes. They're just good dudes. So he's working with Dennis, and he's been doing a really great job. And it's nice to kind of being able to like have kind of a design Bible of kind of what we've done over the last couple of years to kind of go by. But it was really I was really worried that we wouldn't be able to find anybody that we liked, because Dennis doing every single one himself is a non-starter if we want to grow. Sure. And so it's been really exciting to kind of have him come in and sort of learn and then bring something new to the table. So he does lacquer checking. Razor blade lacquer checking, which Dennis has never done. And so he's doing that on the guitars now. So we've never had that before. And it's another element to that distressing that we haven't had. And it's been really great to have that added on.
Awesome. Very, very cool. And are you going to be getting into any other like proprietary parts as you guys are growing, or is that something that you're looking towards?
We would love to do as proprietary stuff as we can. Dennis always has a particular sort of design aesthetic. Kind of, I think a great example that you guys already brought up is the control plate. Yeah. Kind of instead of doing something that's just a regular kind of hot dog, he incorporated that into something completely different, and that really works with our design. And originally it was just for the T model, and we spread it out to the J and the S because we just liked the way it looked. It kind of became our signature. So yeah, we would definitely like to, once we could kind of we get into a groove here. We being close to work with Advanced is really nice. Jeremy and us have already started talking about some stuff that we could work on together. To come up with. So yeah definitely, because Dennis can design, as far as the look, he's got a lot of stuff dancing around in that head of his. Sure. So it's, we got a lot of new models to get to where we might do it too.
Right. So, and currently you've got five models.
I mean, essentially we've got really three right now that are pretty distinct. Pretty much everything is the same body shape as far as the outline, and then we kind of goes from there based on sort of bridges and roundovers and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, truly, we have one, and then we kind of mod it depending on
that's fair to say
what we're going to do. So it's like we're very excited that we've got the next body shape. When that's coming, it's a long time coming because there are certain people that are like, hey guys, like I've got everything. It's time for something new. And we're like, we're working on it. It's just, we wanted to kind of be firmly established in Nashville before we kind of decided to do something new. So
this is going to sound maybe a little bit weird, but so Nashville,
yes.
I mean, no guitar builders or anything down there. So it's probably easy to and like how explain the climate.
Maybe soon to be none.
Let's just say the increase in emails to me with resumes has gone up significantly recently.
Sure.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah,
I mean, 40 years with this one company here in Nashville.
And I'm like, oh, interesting. Yeah, we actually did get Zach, our ever present Zach's. He came from Gibson. So he was our first one that kind of was like, that's not really working. What do you guys got for me? And it was awesome. So yeah, it's a little interesting because every single person that we run into, that's kind of a topic of conversation in town, obviously. Sure. It's a topic of conversation for everybody in the industry. I kind of look at it like, when Gibson's doing well and they're selling a ton of guitars, that's good for everybody because then there's more guitar buyers out there. There's more players out there. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good thing. So I hope they get their stuff squared off because, we're not really competing with them just yet. As far as, so it's like for me, I hope, that maybe we score a few good employees out of the deal and then they can get their stuff figured out because I truly believe that a healthy Gibson's better for the industry overall.
I think you'd be hard pressed to somebody who really understands what's going on. Anytime something that is that big is healthy, everybody's going to benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And truth be told, I think the guitar division of Gibson is still healthy and profitable. It's just all
the diversified.
Well, it's just all these ancillary consumer electronics and all the subdivisions.
Headphones.
And it's if I were in charge, I would say, let's build some guitars, and let's build guitars that everybody wants, not robo-tuners and everything else like that. So I think that they're going to come out of this okay. I think someone will probably buy into the company and make it probably better, stronger, faster. But I agree. I mean, there's if they do tank, which I don't think they will, but if they did happen to do that, it would not be good for the industry.
Yeah,
agreed. Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about how Novo came about. We mentioned Dennis's sort of
previous company.
Yeah, can you give us the rundown on that?
Yeah, totally. So Dennis, essentially, he started making guitars under the Fano name, so his own name. And the wise words to anybody that hasn't started their company yet: never name your first company after your own last name. So then when you sell it, you can actually name your second company after yourself.
Thanks.
Just words of advice. So Dennis is buddies with Mark Bartel, who's of Tone King fame.
Okay.
And he named his first company Tone King, and then he sold that to Premier Builders Guild. And then when he started his new company, he got to call it Bartel Amps. So he never lets Dennis hear the end of that. So that happens. So Dennis was doing Fano guitars, and he was building them in Pennsylvania. And then I think in late 2009, he got approached by Premier Builders Guild to work with them. And so he sold the company in 2010 to those guys and worked with them as a consultant.
Can you elaborate just really quickly on Premier Builders Guild? I'm pretty sure most of us out there don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Premier Builders Guild was a group, I can't remember everybody's name that was involved, but they were a group of guys who basically had an idea to help smaller builders sort of increase production, compete a little bit more with the big boys in the industry. So what they did is they went around and either bought outright or licensed, popular boutique models, and were going to make them all in-house at the same place. So they got Dennis Fano and Fano guitars. They worked with Gustafsson guitars. They worked with Jason Schroeder guitars. They worked with Saul Cole guitars. They bought up Two Rock. They bought Tone King. I think there was a couple other amps in there, and they were all being made in Arroyo Grande, California, under the tutelage of Gene Baker, who's a master builder from Fender and Gibson, and also had his own Baker and B3 line of guitars. So the idea was for them to be able to take these guys that were doing, onesie twosies here and there and really build up production. Dennis was still working by himself at the time. And so he thought, hey, I can, sell my company. I can get, basically work for these guys, be a consultant, design new guitars, fly out to California to do some quality control. And then we're off to the races, and let's build something grand with Fano. And they did pretty well. I think most people would say that that was a pretty successful line for a while until it wasn't. So, yeah. And then when it wasn't, Dennis was sort of looking for something new to do. And since he didn't own Fano, he had a non-compete contract that had expired. So he was able to start doing Novo guitars.
Awesome.
So he had to stay out of the game for a little while.
Yeah, he basically, in his agreement, he could still make his own guitars, and he kind of started up Novo sort of at the same time and was planning to kind of come out with them at the same time, which is a little bit confusing. And then when that all kind of, that non-compete kind of sort of ended, the kind of thing that kind of got screwy somewhere in there is that Premier Builders Guild folded in 2015 and sold off all their brands. And so Fano was one of them, and that got bought by a different company. So it's actually being made, by another entity altogether now.
Wow.
So, yeah. Desert Sun, I think, is the name of them. And they're doing that in Scottsdale. So it's like twice removed now from Dennis. So
how do you think that plays into the legacy of the Fano brand, and into what implications does that have on the Novo brand?
Well, early on it was difficult because a lot of people didn't know that Dennis wasn't involved, and so they thought, well, what am I supposed to buy? Am I supposed to go want a Fano? Am I supposed to want a Novo? And a lot of people didn't know how early Dennis had sold the company. They just knew of Fano guitars, knew of Dennis, or maybe they didn't, and, kind of didn't understand sort of how all that stuff went down. So it's an interesting legacy because there's so many people even today that love Novo that still love all the Fano guitars that they have. We certainly still love those designs. They're what I got excited about when I first saw Dennis's stuff. So it's kind of a weird thing. It's a little ex-girlfriendy, to kind of see when they've got when players that maybe we want to work with are playing sort of newer Fano guitars, or when they've kind of anything they kind of do. It's always a little bit kind of jarring when it pops up because it's just instantly you're like kind of happy because you see a guitar you like and then you realize, what it is, and you're like, oh, so kind of we tried really hard, starting off with Novo to sort of try to establish ourselves for people that didn't know who Dennis was at all. Like, we didn't want it just to be, hey, this Dennis. It's like, how do we do this sort of on our own terms? And the really exciting thing is that the relationships that Dennis had with the original dealers that had come on board pre-Premier Builders Guild were all still there. So they all came on board immediately because they were excited to get Dennis-made guitars again. And so that really helped us get started off and running. I mean, I got hired on and we had 13 dealers already.
Wow.
So it was like, I didn't have to, I'm coming on as a sales guy and I don't have to do any work. This is fantastic for me. You know what I mean? I'm not out there hustling. I mean, it'd be one thing if I was on the phone every day trying to get these guitars sold. We had 125 guitars on order the day I stepped foot in the building.
That is incredible.
So it was just, but there was a pent up sort of need for Dennis made guitars again, something that he had a direct responsibility for. That sort of had, once he wasn't really as involved over at Fano anymore, some things kind of changed and it wasn't really his vision anymore. And so I think a lot of the dealers that were still carrying Fano were really excited to get something that they felt comfortable with again, to tell the story to their customers where this guitar came from. And so it was a nice opportunity for us to kind of just restart everything and build it from the ground up. Dennis kind of talks about, back in the late 2000s before he sold Premier Builders Guild, like what he could have done with Fano if he had done it himself. And now we get a second chance to do that. And it's a really exciting thing that it's going so well because, people gave him another chance. Here's another company, a whole different set of things. And it's, we've had such a great reaction to it. It's been wonderful.
Yeah. Cause that's not a guarantee that that's going to work.
No. And
especially without the name that people had spent so much time, going after, just starting something different just because that same builder, the history is littered with that kind of situation, and that's quite the opposite here. This is it's been really great, and I think that just Dennis's kind of commitment to everything, to the design aesthetic, to the guitars, how good they sound, how good they play. And just I can't thank the dealers enough for kind of bringing this on and sort of believing in it and letting it grow the way it did. We've done no advertising. We haven't spent a dime on advertising since we started. Not even a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad. We've done nothing except just kind of put them out there and let it happen. And Dennis has done so much work to get us to this point over the last 25 years that it's not a 2-year-old company. Right.
It's way more than that. But the name recognition and all that stuff, it's been. We had a lot of artists too that were ready to come over as well that he'd worked with in the past, and so that was really great too. So it's a combination of everything. It's hard work and just in having that built-in audience.
It goes to show that the fact that you didn't have to hype it, that quite literally the guitar, the images. Just the images of the guitars alone, not knowing maybe history or who even Dennis Fano is, or that there was a Fano even before that, is driving fervor for these guitars. That is a testament to the design of these things.
Yeah,
I've really, I will, I'll blow it up all day, man. It's just the design. It kind of just drives me crazy sometimes, kind of looking at what we especially the different kind of how we can kind of have one body shape and then kind of constantly push new guitars, new looks and new colors and new. Dennis does not like to make the same guitars.
By
and large,
we did one the other day where we did a gold foil on the bridge and 2 Strat pickups, and we'd never done that before, and that looks amazing and it's totally different and cool. But Dennis does not like when I come to him and I say, hey, we made this guitar before and we're doing it again. He hates it. He's he doesn't like to do. So it's a very custom shop mentality, and I'm like, dude, if it's sold once, that means means more people might want to buy it. So let's make it again. And he's like, no, I'm bored with that already. He wants to do another one. And that kind of, it's a kind of a hidden blessing that he had to start over because, you know, he had his models with Fano, and this way he can do whatever he wants and pushes even further without sort of like, well, I still have to make all these old guitars that I made before. Right. So, you know, the way he is and the way he likes to do things, and, you know, it's been really great for him to sort of get to do that and have no preconceived notions of what it's supposed to be. We can just kind of go for it, and it's been really great.
I think it's worth mentioning. You know, we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Certainly before the podcast, we were talking too. But I think it is worth bringing up that, you know, we're referencing a third person here a lot, and it is not because that third person is unattainable or exclusive or anything like that. It's because he's like, man, you go hype it. I'm gonna feel weird if I'm hyping my own stuff.
He won't do it. He hates it. It's so funny because like, and he knows like, well, you love doing that stuff, Matthew, so go for it. And you know, it's, as we've grown, I'm starting to feel a little bit more comfortable side of taking ownership of what we do around here because I'm involved in everything so much. But it's still, sometimes I just sit back and go like, well, you know, it's still Dennis is the guy. It's I mean, it's like, I really hope that I can kind of rope him into coming on with you guys so he can tell you a little bit more about what he does. I mean, it's like, hey, I can tell you about me entering in spreadsheets today for new orders. That's really exciting, right? It's like, that's fun. And it's like, I'll tell you, you know, it's like that part of it, or you know, some of the other stuff that we get to do. I mean, if you enjoy our Instagram, I do take all the pictures, so that's really fun for me. Well, I like that part. Job.
I enjoy.
Thank you. It's an easy subject to play, but yeah, Dennis is easily the most humble guy that I've ever encountered that has this much talent in this industry, and it's literally a pleasure to get to work for him.
Can we really talk about a couple of things that caught my eye?
Yeah, go for it.
Some innovations. One is the single bolt neck attachment.
Yeah, totally.
And the second one are the glow in the dark side dots.
Yes, sir.
So can we talk?
And the 3 dot dots.
And the 3 dots.
The 3 dot. Yeah. So all those are on the Sectus model. Okay. That's where they started. And so the true Dennis Fano fashion, the idea with the Sectus model is, I'm starting a new brand and I can't do what I did before because we're already doing Fano. So I'm still working there. And I need to come up with something that they're not doing that's completely different. So it was his way of sort of like thinking about, you know, the bolt-on neck electric guitar and saying, what can I do differently? And one of the things that he always liked about, you know, a set necks is just, you know, a tighter, you know, attachment, a tighter pocket, a neck that's not going to move. So he's like, how do I take that and sort of innovate it into something that's going to work for him? So the single bolt neck attachment was the genesis of that, is to come up with a new neck joint, something that had a nice feel in your hand, that's rounded off, that's going to attach to the neck, to the body, and get that same sort of level of rigidness that you would get out of a set neck, but be able to take it off and, you know, repair it or mix and match or however you want. So that's how that came about, was just a need to kind of design something new. And then he's not a huge, you know, sort of fan of repeating himself. So it was just a way to do that. Is there anything different on the actual neck body joint, or is it just all in that the metal attachment? No, there's a recessed aluminum block that's in the neck joint that bolt is attaching to.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't think we've had any pictures online of what that actually looks like, but there's a block that it's like, that's screwed into the body, and then the neck gets it's screwed into the neck, I'm sorry. And then the bolt goes through the body and then attaches itself to that. So, I should probably put some pictures of it.
That'd be a really cool Instagram post.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't do stuff like that. You guys thanks for helping me out. You know, too transfixed by these beautiful finishes, and that's all I ever take pictures of. So, but yeah, so that was the goal is answering a simple question is like, how do I get a bolt on to sort of have that same rigidity as a set neck does?
Nice.
And that was what he came up with.
And then the glow in the dark dots. on the
so you can see your side dots on stage.
Nice.
That was the simple solution. It's funny because we've had a lot of players come by and say like, oh, like they glue little stickers on so they could do that, and so that was kind of the idea behind that,
right.
And so that's pretty cool. We did that on the Sectus
polish.
There you go. That works too. We'll just do it for you. We'll put it on the guitar for you. Yeah. Yeah, and then those like kind of moon inlays that he did, the quad dots, same idea as just an idea. You had to have something a little different that wasn't traditional blocks, or just he wanted that cool. He wanted that Sectus guitar essentially to just be nothing, like not like you couldn't visually reference it in one shot and say like this is just this. That was kind of so the inlays kind of tied into that idea. It's just like something that no one ever done.
And he loves to do that. Super over the top at every appointment.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Even the cases. I mean, if you look at the photos of those cases, I mean, they're just, over the top cool.
Yeah, we got a purple like Grimace interior, and then a nice like kind of gunmetal silver outside, so graphite looking thing. So it's a nice combo. Early on, that was kind of the idea, was this kind of silver purple color scheme was what he was going for.
And it's got embroidered the logo on the inside, like the Fanos were too. But it's really it's a really top notch look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
One more reason why I say this earlier, that I love these guitars.
I mean, so it sounds like you're going to have to get one and then bring it in here.
At some point, yeah.
Tony's excited.
Sell one of your 28 Rickenbackers.
No, never.
Well, on that note, like, would you take a really nice Gibson Explorer on trade?
Wow.
Yeah, time to trade, bud.
I've got this Ventures Jazz Master that I
heard about that guitar. Yeah, I heard about that one.
Well, when you guys come out with this new model, all right?
Yes.
Let's see what we can do to get Dennis back on, and you use our platform in any way you like to help announce that. Not that you need it.
If you need a little push or something like that,
we do. I joke about it all the time, but like I don't want to be stuck like thinking like, oh, we don't have to do anything, and suddenly we increase production and then the stuff's sitting, and I'm like, well, I probably should have thought about how to market these guitars earlier.
If it is sitting, remember my Explorer, and then we can talk about that.
I like it.
Hey, are you guys going to be at Summer NAMM?
Actually, we're not, because since we're here already, we're going to do an open house here at the shop.
We will be
plug
there.
That.
Yes. Can we get on the guest list?
Please, yes. RSVP to me. And yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that's kind of one of the reasons why we decided to do Nashville, is the access to a lot of different things. When we were kicking around ideas for what city we might want to move the company to, Nashville was pretty much it. From Jump Street, because of the access to artists, the access to venues, the access to employees and art, builder, just all the different things. And then, knowing that the industry comes here just in droves, to be able to do like a little open house. So we get a nice showroom set up here, come on down and fire up and check the stuff out. We don't have to do much except just, hang out. So it's great.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so if you guys are in town, please come by.
We will be there.
We will definitely be dropping.
Awesome.
I'm excited. I really appreciate you sharing your time with us. We're just gushing. It's hard to make a sort of an objective sort of interview when you're spending so much time just kind of like fawning over things. These are really cool. It's not a really good interview.
Remember when you were in the Beatles?
You get a Chris Farley show me for the whole time.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
I get a little embarrassed, because it's like I don't really talk about it in a sort of objective way. It's like, and it's like, obviously it's my company, but I'm still a fan of Dennis's stuff in general, and it's always a pleasure to just try to figure out a way to kind of exude that to everybody else, and since you guys are super into it, it's really easy. It's been a great couple of years.
Well, this has been one that I have been wanting to do pretty much since I first saw the first ones come up on Instagram, and I got to be honest. When I learned it was Dennis, I was like, we're not gonna. And it turned out to be a much easier and much more pleasurable experience than I could have appreciated at the time. So I thank you for that.
Oh, no problem.
Jared?
Well, everybody, you know what time it
He
is.
just woke up.
Well, in that case, it's time for Would You Rather?
All right.
He's available for bar mitzvahs,
the velvet-
parties of all sorts.
The Velvet Smog.
Okay, everybody. So, your amp blows to bits, but
How did it blow to bits?
I don't know.
It got run over with a lawnmower?
Exactly.
Okay.
Your buddy down the road makes amps, and so you go down to the thing and you're like, hey man, I need an amp. So would you rather have your controls on the top of the amplifier
Like a Vox.
like a Vox, or would you rather have them on the front of the amplifier,
Like,
a Fender?
or a other 150
Kinds of amps.
Yeah.
Marshall.
Yeah.
Marshall.
Although Marshall did it both ways, too.
And those are on the bottom of the thing. So anyways, yeah. So let's say it's a combo amp.
Combo amp.
So we're going to be at the top. So just to eliminate, because nobody's going to put the controls at the bottom of a combo amp on the front. That would
could.
that would be ridiculous. And
Yeah.
they won't. Anyways, top front or rear
top.
Wait,
Top and
You're
front.
really front of the amp at an angle
front of the amp.
or top of the amp flat.
I've seen them a bunch of different ways too.
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course, but we're just picking two because
This is because this guy that you know that builds amp only
Because
does
it's
it
would
two
you
ways.
rather?
Yeah. Thanks for. Oh man, I was totally lost. I didn't know
Oh, what
we were
segment is
doing.
this?
All right, Tony.
Ah, Lordy. I'm gonna. Well, is this just going to be sitting on a stage or is it going to be on a stand?
Let's say it's
Stand on a stage.
It's on a stage, but it's not up high.
Not up high, so it's down low.
It's lower. You might have it on a small riser.
Okay. I'm going to go to the top of the amp, but one of the things that always bugs me about my Voxes is the controls are upside down if you're looking down at it. So I'm going to have my custom builder flip that around.
Ooh.
So I can actually read and do it that way. So I'm going
and
top of
not
the amp.
make the knobs the same color as the plate,
Yeah, that's,
which is
that's
like,
another
Vox. Seriously, guys, what are you doing?
Oh, well. They do make a nice amplifier, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, okay.
No, they're cool. It's fine. It just wasn't my bag of chips.
No,
But anyways,
that's okay.
I tried it.
At least you tried it. Some
did.
people wouldn't
I did.
even have tried it.
And that was for a different kind of music, so I might appreciate it more now with the current thing I'm doing. But anyways, whatever. Jared,
Top, rear. I had a PV 5150 combo, and it was the last run of that when PV was still calling them 5150. And I gigged with that thing I did a lot of gigs with it. And because I'm tall, it was just easier just where the placement was to adjust the knobs. So yeah, I mean, if I'm taking it and gigging it and using it all the time, definitely top rear.
okay,
Okay.
Matthew.
Definitely the front. Definitely. And two reasons why. Number one is that I need that panel clear of my beers, which are going to sit on top of the amp. And then number two is that I only have one knob, which is if I'm getting a custom one built, and it's just going to say louder.
There you go.
So I don't need access to it very much. So that's it.
Brilliant. I'm going front as well because I don't like all the dust all over the controls. Whatever. Whatever. I don't like the dusty bits, and I don't like to have to read it backwards or lean over the front of the amp to where I'm almost falling over it to control it. It was ridiculous. Anyways,
'cause you're
front.
short.
I want the front. I'm taking the front.
Nice.
All right.
The front.
Yeah.
The front,
Solves that.
Yeah.
So
front
2
or
and
the
2.
rear?
2 and
2
2.
fronts, 2 rears.
Yeah. So, hey,
Tops.
so Matthew, where can people find Novo stuff?
Yeah, so you can go to novoguitars.com. So you can check out our different models, check out our dealer list. We have 17 dealers worldwide now, so you can check out to see where those in stock. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Novo Guitars if you want to check out all the wonderful pictures that I post. And yeah.
They are pretty snappy pictures. Dig it.
Yeah.
And Tony.
Yes. So we got this thing.
Yes. And it's a short thing.
It's a very shortened version of what I used to do because apparently Todd doesn't like when I do the extended version. He gets very upset and he starts twiddling and shooting nasty looks over this way.
It's long already.
So let's just say you're gathering around a 4th of July kind of picnic.
We got this thing called Patreon, in which our
and your mom and dad say, hey, what can we really we son
they've
we,
got
we,
a $1
we know that
bill,
you
a
got
$5 bill, and a $10 bill.
We noticed that you like guitars an awful lot, and you listen to this podcast. It seems never-endingly.
The 4th of July.
At the 4th of July picnic, Mom and Dad are noticing
Feels
this.
like it right now.
What can we do that would help support you and this wonderful podcast that you listen to?
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's called The Guitar Knobs.
The Guitar Knobs podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
So you just say, well, it's easy. Go to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs, and there are just many different levels that you can participate in, Mom and Dad. I'd highly recommend the $20 level because that makes me an executive producer.
Well, a $10 one makes you executive producer, but thanks for playing. So you got the $10 one. You can start out at 1. You can do a 5 or you can do a 10. And if you really, really, really love the show, then you can do more. But at $1, what are you going to get?
You get just a pocket full of stuff.
Yeah.
Stickers, picks.
Mix-match.
Just everything you
yeah.
can imagine. It's the best dollar you will spend that month.
You never have enough
100%.
of that stuff.
And at the $5,
Yeah, all that stuff and more. And you get a knob that
Button.
you can actually, a button that you can...
barefoot button. That's all, folks. Barefoot button.
You can put on one of your favorite little
Pedals.
foot pedals. Those
Yes.
little fancy things. Foot pedals.
Yes. At the $10 mark,
You get all that and more, and you get your name read on the
on-
thing,
Come on.
and a Guitar Knobs T-shirt
that's right.
in the wonderful orange and black Halloween colors,
Yeah, okay.
It's always good.
or
to have-
Cincinnati Bengal colors.
Sure.
It's always good to have your name written on the thing.
So what I'd like to do,
And red on the thing.
Red on
can I do this?
Yes.
Please,
Took
can I
my
do
line.
this?
Yes, do it.
So without further ado, I would like to read from our list of executive producers, and we really appreciate you being...
It truly does. We're screwing around right now a little bit, but it means the world to us.
It does mean the world to us. So I'm going to go just
Do it.
top to bottom. Tom Barazin, Martin Cliff, David Wolfson, Matt Brammer, Carlos Mancha, Pete Marshall, Derek Fitzer, Robin Smith, John Daly, Oliver Gonzalez, Sean S., Chris Kearney, John Anglin, Robert Marfleet, Alex Leggett, Darren Gregory, Gary Goodman, Zach J. Wright, and Doug Christ.
That is right. Man, oh man, what a great list of folks out there. We appreciate you guys so much.
Yes,
truly,
sir.
truly, truly, we do.
Thanks,
And Tony, where can people find you?
Well, for beautifully handcrafted pickguards,
Yep.
And they are.
custom made. I know a guy. They can go to pickguardian.com.
Yep.
You can also check out through most of the major social media outlets, including Instagram, Facebook, and many more.
Excellent. Great. Jared.
Jared Brandon. I make pretty good pickups, so if you need...
They're okay. They're not bad for a beginner.
You're getting me all
What
flustered.
did we talk about last time?
I don't know. So, if you guys need any pickup work done, or if you're looking for something special that you can't buy anything or anywhere else, I'm sorry, then go to brandonwoundpickups.com and get a hold of me at Jared@BrandonWoundPickups. I am also on Facebook and Instagram. and not really Twitter that much, but I am on there.
Do you do rewinds?
I do rewinds all the time.
And you sell regular pickups like that. I could get, if I'm just looking for P90s, I can get them through you.
Sure.
Or humbuckers.
Sure.
Or single coil.
Go to my website.
It doesn't have to be special.
Can you
or
do
rewind.
wide range humbuckers in a Jazzmaster casing?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
Okay.
I can do T-tops though.
Okay. Anyways. We've been ribbing Jared a little bit here. And he's really frosty and hot. And he's a really big person. So this room is very small for him right now. People out there listening, you can get a hold of me, Todd at the Guitar Knobs, and just drop me a line. Drop us a line. We'll talk to you. We'll have some good fun. Matthew, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Man, this was awesome. It was great talking to you. Please say hello to Dennis on our behalf, and thank him for his massive contribution to the guitar world that we love.
I will, and I guarantee you I will get him to do this. Guarantee
You
it.
said it. All right.
I said it. Now it's on me.
All right, buddy.
Now it's
Take
on
care.
me. Right on, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Subscribe!
Yeah.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.